we are now. This is Wednesday, March the 16th at about 9 o'clock. We're looking at the Capitol building of Iowa, located in Des Moines. The very top of this building is the gold dome. This is sheathed in gold, and it's very overcast this morning. I don't know how it will show up, but that's pure gold, or as pure gold as you can use malleably on the dome of this Capitol building. Looking now is some more of the office complex to the north of the Capitol building that's been added. Looking now at this building with the gold glass on it. Reflective is the Wallace building. It was named after Secretary of the Agriculture Henry Wallace. Henry's very famous. He used to edit a farm paper. He's known throughout the circles as the Henry Wallace building. Is the Iowa Museum of History. It's located just to the west of the Capitol grounds here in Des Moines. It's a brand new building, just opened last year, and even now all of the exhibits and everything are still not complete. But it's two of the Capitol building here in Des Moines. The gold dome. At the top, a gray, overcast, cold morning here, the middle of March. Earlier we showed you a picture of the new State Historical building. This is the old building. Now it's now being remodeled into something else. It was a Iowa State History building. Alright, right now we're in Knoxville, Iowa, to their park area that they have here, which they've developed and brought in some of the old schoolhouses and the old buildings from the surrounding areas. We're looking at the Donnelly Station. This was the station that was located to the west of Knoxville, about 4 miles on the CB&Q line. What it was a siding. They had some stock pens there. The farmers would drive their cattle or their hogs or sheep, whatever it was, to these pens, and when they had a delivery or a carload to go out, the station agent would send a man from Knoxville to that area and oversee the loading of these cattle, hogs, or sheep, whatever it happened to be. And it was at this station that train number 28 was to have been on its siding southbound, and train number 179 northbound to Des Moines, in which the accident occurred. There was a work train sitting on that siding on the night of January the 12th, 1933. And the train that my granddad was the conductor of, the northbound 179, was a Superior train, was to have passed this train on the siding. When they got there, there was a work train there. They evidently mistook it for the southbound train, went on down the track 1.5 miles, and there was a head-on crash of the two trains, in which my grandfather, along with 4 other railroad men and 30 persons, were injured. But this is simply a way station, the old Donnelly Station, west of Knoxville on the CB&Q line. We're still in the park here at Knoxville. They've moved in several different old-time rural items. We're looking now at a old-time country church called Valley Chapel. Evidently it's been in the area for quite some time, but it's here in the park. It's another one of the buildings that's sitting here. It's called the Old General Store. It's one like you might have seen out in the rural area of Iowa, Missouri, or anywhere in the Midwest, probably 50 to 100 years ago. We'll pan around now to the Little Red Schoolhouse, and they also have a log cabin that they have set up here. Here's a Little Red Schoolhouse. I never went to a Little Red Schoolhouse. I've gone to a couple of schoolhouses that were white. One was Albany and the other one was Hardscratch, or the official name was Mount Hope, but everyone called it Hardscratch. But this is a Pleasant Ridge schoolhouse that evidently was here somewhere in Marion County. Probably was in operation till perhaps 1950. It's been moved in, restored, and it sits here in the county park now at Knoxville, Iowa. Okay, again we're looking at the old log cabin. Been restored. Looks like it's in fairly good shape. This being the middle of March, cold day, there's no one around the park. They also have a museum here, but again there's no one around, and we'll see if at a later date sometime when we're through here if we can't go through the museum. But this is simply the log cabin that they have restored here at the park. On down, again sitting in the trees, you can see the old Donnelly station. It's just been moved in there as kind of a reminder of what it was. But the agent would come out and would deal with the farmers as they shipped their livestock on the Burlington train. Across the street from them is the museum that sits here, and it's a very nice brick building. Looks like a large home. Again, no one's around, so there's no way of getting in and seeing what's going on. But we will at a later time perhaps get in and be able to see what they have in this museum. West of Knoxville now, out to the old Donnelly area. This is the switch, and this is the siding. Up there where the old coal chute is, there were cattle pens. They've got the ties, they've taken it all down into that area now. But this is the area in which the trains were to have taken the siding. The northbound 179 was to have passed here at this switch. I'm going to move around. We're looking east now, and I'm going to pan around here, and we're looking down west now. And of course this track has all been reworked in the late 1960s, 1970s, upgraded. It's now a mainline track. Comes down from Des Moines, goes all the way through Knoxville, down to Albia, and down into Moberly, Missouri. Maybe I'm wrong if this is a CB&Q, but it's one of their main tracks. Probably down to Albia, and then it joins with the east-west run. But this is the siding here, and we'll go on to the west and see if I can't get a picture of the area. There's a lot of things, and in 50 years, we're now to the west of that siding that we were on, which is now called the Donnelly siding. But we're up here now to where the siding was in 1933. And here are the cattle pens, what's left of them in this area. And as you can look down along the side there, and this is looking to the west, so the accident would have happened still to the west about a mile from here. But this now is the exact spot of where the old Donnelly siding was. And I'm going to move around here a little bit, and we'll look back to the east, and we can see where the old track was and where the ties and things are still there at the chute. And then as we look down across the road now, and as we look down this fence row across the road, you can see the line of trees, and this is where the old railroad bed was. And like I say, during the 60s sometime, they relocated this red road bed and upgraded it. But this is where the old road bed ran, and we're standing very close now to where the loading chute was, where the siding was, and everything that would have been there. And we're looking back now to the west through the cattle pens here. Main line of the track now, and you see a bridge in here that's been redone. Now this would be in the general area But I believe, as memory serves me, as we came down, and I'm going to fade out here, but this is the creek or the little ditch that the trestle was over. And as I fade out, I'm going to turn back around here a ways now from this bridge. And again, I'm going to pan around, and you can see this creek, and it runs, and there's no way in the world I can get down to it, but I think it's down in this exact area here. With the relocation of the track, I can't be certain, but I think it's in this general area where the old trestle was that the accident happened on. Now there's a dirt road that runs down here. At that time they had to go about a quarter of a mile and come back down the railroad track, riding over the ties with the ambulances and whatever. But now this dirt road's been bladed in here, and it runs within the new railroad, probably within 25 or 30 feet. But this is the general area that the accident happened. Okay, here we are later in the afternoon now. We're in Ottumwa, and I'm panning now the old St. Joseph's Hospital in Ottumwa, and it's now the Ottumwa Regional Medical Care Facility. But this is where on May 2nd, 1937, I first saw the light of day. Here we are now, another view. Front view of the old St. Joseph's Hospital. Perhaps you can see the name written above it there. But it's now part of the Ottumwa Hospital and one of their extended care facilities. Very eventful day, May 2nd. Here we are, this is 302 North Van Buren. They used to live, or the yard around. Old East End Presbyterian Church. It's now been torn down, remodeled. It's now the Sunny Slope Healthcare, and there's only one of the old buildings left, as the rest of them are all a new nursing home type of a facility. And the only original building that I can remember that's still standing is the building here, which was the nurses' residence that tended to the patients here at Sunny Slope. It still stands, and it looks like it's an apartment type building or something now. There is an older building back over here which may have been part of the original Sunny Slope, but I'm not really sure. It's been remodeled, changed down. It's a nursing type of an institution now. It's more modern type buildings. Looks like it's been probably remodeled 15 or 20 years ago. This is the old Sunny Slope Sanitarium. Now south from Van Buren, and in the distance is the old John Morrell packing plant. You can see the old familiar sign on it. Plant set there for about 20 years now, unused, falling to pieces. I don't have time today. This is the 16th of March. It's getting late in the afternoon. It's cold, it's overcast. They've got a storm warning out for snow tonight. and it's just too cold for me. I've got to keep the camcorder in the car to keep it warm, and I'm just in and out, so these pictures are being taken very quickly, but I hope to get back later and do a better job. Again, on a cold March day, it's beginning to spit snow really. We're at the Shaw Cemetery, and this is the tombstone of John A. and Eva C. Baker. Let's get in. Okay, John Baker was born 1866, died in 1933, and Eva C. was born in 1867, died 1944. We'll move on around now to the other side, and we'll have the grave of my dad and the grave of Maud, along with the back side of this tombstone. Okay, this is the grave here with the tomb of Arthur N. Baker, my dad, born February 1911, died December of 1964, veteran of the U.S. Navy. Alright, again, this is the marker of Aunt Maud, Nellie Maud Baker Minky, born 1890, passed away in 1980. This is the back side of the Baker tomb. I don't know whether you can read it or not, but they lost a child who was named after his father, John A. They lost a daughter named Bernice. They lost a son named Burnett, and another daughter, Anna P. These are the 4 children. They were young when they died, but they all passed away, and they're buried here too in this site. Again, we're on this site. We'll get a little better picture here, a little better shot. This is the grave of my dad, Arthur N. Baker, February 20th, 1911, died December 2nd, 1964. This is just a shot of the cemetery, Shaw Cemetery in Ottumwa, Iowa. We'll move around and we'll get another shot of the graves here. Part of the city. Right. We'll continue on in and we'll see what we can find. Hey Dixie, the traffic here is horrendous. It's like the freeway. We're standing on Old Highway 2, the bridge at the east end of town, and you can see it. Now, rumor has it in Bedford that they're going to tear this old bridge down and they're going to put in a brand new drawbridge. It seems as though that Bedford now is going to become an inland seaport, that they've dredged the 102 River, and we'll take a picture of that later. They've dredged it, and now they're going to be able to run steamship and barges all the way around through New Orleans, up the Mississippi, the Missouri River, and up 102. And Bedford now will be an inland port. Probably will dock some of the larger ocean-going vessels, and they're going to use this area right in here by the sports complex to do this. And so you can see it's a little windy, and probably hear the wind whistling in the microphone. But we'll go on over here now and we'll look at the 102 River. And Okay, Dixie, now we're on the bridge. In the center of the bridge is looking right directly over the 102 River. And this area here now will be the steamship docks. And they really think that Taylor County will be an inland port to rival New Orleans, New York, and probably San Francisco. There's a car going across the bridge now. In fact, the rumor has it that right in by the old depot here, by the sports complex, that they may build a dock, and they may even get the Queen Mary from Long Beach and bring that in. That would be a tourist attraction that would add a few. But now you see this is the 102 River, and this will now be they'll be able to navigate it all the way through, barges and whatever. But this bridge will have to be replaced, and probably a toll bridge. And I understand that Billy Goat Gruff is going to be the toll keeper here at the bridge. Still on the bridge, and we're looking across at the east end of the bridge at the Beamer Fish Farm. And again, there has been an industrial development bond, and they think now that with the freshwater fishing here in the 102, that along with the seaport and the ocean-going vessels that will be coming in, that probably Bedford will become a major fish exporter and will probably be known worldwide as New Orleans is for their shrimp and oysters. Bedford probably will be known for the freshwater 102 fish. But this is already in the works here. Of the bridge of the 102, and we're looking at the Bedford Sports Complex, the baseball field, and this now is a football field. Clifton can relive some of his exploits as a football player and the grand times that the Bedford Bulldogs had playing football in this area. Now this too will be enclosed. They're going to build a bowl here, I understand. Probably we tried to get the St. Louis Cardinals, I understand, in Bedford, but they decided to go west to Arizona. But I understand that with the coming of the seaport here along the 102, that they will build a bowl here, seat somewhere between 150 and 200,000. Probably have a professional football team that may rival the Miami Dolphins or the Chicago Bears. And again here on the baseball park, I understand that they're going to build a stadium here. They're kind of modeling it after the Kansas City Sports Complex, having them both right close here. They're going to build high-rise parking garages, probably 15-20 stories high. And they're not going to have elevators, but from the 5th story up, they're going to furnish parachutes. And if the wind's right, you can parachute right to your seat. So as you notice, the wind's blowing a little bit here. Of course, across is the old waterworks. I understand that one of the reasons that they got the seaport was Bedford finally put in a sanitary, well, what it really is, we call it a turd farm. And so when you flush, that everything doesn't float right down the river. The seaport would have been here sooner, but they were afraid that as one of them approached town, someone would flush, and it would be the Titanic in the North Atlantic all again, hitting an iceberg or something similar. But here we are now, and I certainly hope you enjoy this, because it's cold, the wind's blowing, and I'm freezing, but there is a hot air breeze blowing kind of back toward my face here. It smells a little bit like someone with bad breath. But anyway, this is the travel log, and remember, it's worth the price of admission, just exactly what you paid for. Now, Dixie, for Clifton, I want him to relive the glorious days of the BHS football players, the Bulldogs. I want him to remember the nights that the lights were on, that the scoreboard was blinking, Bedford 0, visitors 503. And I want him to remember, and perhaps Scott too, as he plays football, right here as he lined up along the 50-yard line, the opposing kickoff, the drop punts, the missed tackles, the coach yelling at him to get his helmet on. The glorious days. Days that are long gone. And thanks to modern video, television, you can now just visualize running the distance all the way and have the coach running out on the field tackling you, yelling you're going the wrong way. But here we are in Bedford Stadium. Now just visualize too in your mind's eye the stands now. A bowl seating 150,000 people. Stands are full and you're out here on the 50-yard line waiting for the kickoff, waiting for your grand opportunity. Well, enough for this. We better move on now. Again at the sports complex. 25 years ago, ball game in progress. It's been announced that Clifton Robinson from the home team has been able now to come to bat. His broken ribs, his cracked ankles, his weak knees have healed, and he's been called in as a pinch hitter. It's the bottom of the ninth, bases are loaded. Score is 3-2, favor of the visitors. Clifton steps up to bat. He swings at the first pitch. He just nicks it, goes over the back of the backstop. Second pitch comes in, the umpire yells strike 2. Clifton argues he knows the pitch is too low, but still the count stands at strike 2. And now the pitcher winds, the ball's on its way. Clifton swings as hard as he can. He hears the ball hit the bat, he thinks. But all he hears is the umpire yell, strike 3. You're out. Ah yes, those were the good old days. We just want you to relive them once more in the history of the past. And looking in the distance, we can see the waterworks. Of course, it's going to have to be enlarged now as Bedford becomes a seaport along the 102. And they have plans in mind for that. We're looking now in the area that used to be the old depot. And again, plans have been laid that they'll going to take the old Burlington track where the old depot was. They're going to bring in a Japanese firm, and they're going to bring in one of these newfangled Japanese trains, and it's going to run from the station in Kansas City. Going to run it at about 300 miles an hour from Kansas City to Bedford in about 30 minutes. And they figure that they're going to need this if it's going to be the seaport to get it in. Also out around Frog Valley, they're going to level off the hills down in there along the river, and they're going to put in an airport. It's going to have a 10,000-foot runway, I understand. In fact, 2 of them, a north-south and an east-west. Probably the Concorde is scheduled to land here late in '91. But you can see that things are definitely picking up. And again, you can see the wind blowing. It's 10:47. We're standing down now, just as we come out of the football and the baseball field. We're looking up at Main Street toward the sale barn here. It's the closest to us, and you can see that there's a sale going to be in progress. And this is just looking down Main Street, the traffic jam. All of this is going to be alleviated. The traffic commissioner of Bedford has been appointed. The plans are on the board. The freeways and the interchanges for the downtown area have already been planned and will soon be into effect. Okay, here we are, Dixie. We're at the corner now. This is the OEI Wilson Feed Store, and you can see the Garland Hotel down where the Cross and Pool had their grocery store. It's now Super Value, and on down to the west. There's the Hardin Hotel, or theater rather. Buildings on the corner. Bird's eye view of the downtown, the business district. Dixie, we've moved around now, and we're down at the Skylark and the Skylark Motel. Everything is as it used to be. You can see this. This is going to be the convention center, I understand, once the navigation system is opened and the wharfs and the docks and the fish farm and everything gets in. There's some talk about it being a regular first-class convention city, probably a tourist trade. The owners of the Skylark are already into the spirit of things. They've bought them a new yellow sign, and they're already advertising. It says Skylark Motel, new rates, new TV, and DD touch phones. So they're really modernizing and getting ready for all of this. Of course, across the road is the Bedford Car Wash. You can see it's actively busy today, and particularly we have a large farm implement here, probably some of the construction equipment they're bringing in, and he's getting it all shined up because evidently that's going to be on national news, and he wants to look nice. We'll pan around now and we'll look from the other direction. Grain barns. There's the sign for the Skylark Motel. I understand that they even have plans that they're going to paint up and fix up and make that into a first-class sign. Down the highway, the distance is the Schopenhauer Funeral Home, the restaurant that's there. Boyd Novinger still is in business. I understand he has one of the more lively businesses, no pun intended, there in Bedford now. This is the Frosty. This is Bedford's answer to McDonald's, Hardee's, Burger King, Dairy Queen, the whole bit. It all started right here, one of the originals, and over the past 30 years it really hasn't changed a great lot. But there it is, nevertheless, the Frosty. And so we have a fast food restaurant that's already here and already in place, and we'll be able to take care of things. Just panning around now. We'll fade out and go on down the road. We're in a no parking zone, and we certainly all that we're north of the highway now, and you can see that we only can park here in this no parking zone. So before the gendarmes and the mounted police and everything come along, we've got to move on. So we'll be taking some other areas. We're now on in front of the city, or in front of the courthouse. You can see the statue, you can see the clock at the top. Unfortunately, we've got an electric wire running through here that I can't get away from. But there it is, the old county courthouse. Statue that was dedicated to the men in World War I. And the entrance hasn't changed a great lot, 40 years, but there it is. Okay, you heard it strike 11 o'clock. Sightseers now, we're stopping traffic everywhere. They're wandering down now toward the, used to be the Presbyterian, I think it's Presbyterian Christian Church now or something, and the Methodist Church on the other corner. Shot of the library as we go through back to the courthouse. The Bedford City Hall and the fire station, all updated. The newest thing, they're probably going to have to bring in snorkel trucks and ladder trucks, hook and ladder. Probably the latest in the fire equipment when all the plans, the old Masonic Hall, looking south down Court Street, the main part of town. Of course, now we're looking across at the county offices of the sheriff. There's some talk that when the seaport comes in and the 102 is in full force, that they may call this the convention center, and they're going to advertise it as a Hyatt convention, and it's going to be free room and board overnight, and if you decide to stay longer, stays up to 30, 60 days, whatever the court says, and free continental meals, which is bread and water almost 3 times a day. And so it's still here, and I don't really think they're taking reservations. I think they kind of pick and choose who they want to lodge in this area. But it could be a hotel facility. and they could use it in time of need. Along with the expansion that the town is expecting, they have developed a system, and rather than put in streetcars or bus service, they've come in with a combination, and they're going to call it the Southern Iowa Trolley. And this, of course, will run all over town, and will bring people wherever they want to go. You just put in a quarter and tell them the address, and they'll pick you up and drop you off. But it's going to be the Southern Iowa Trolley. Of course, Dixie, one of the reasons that Bedford was chosen as a seaport rather than Hopkins or Pickering or perhaps even Maryville was because of its northern extremities, but also because of its recreational facilities. And now we see the Bibbins Park, of course the swings and all that go with it. The croquet courts, I think, were the ones that really Maryville and Hopkins could not come up with the sand croquet courts that we have here. And so for that reason, Bedford was given the go-ahead for the seaport. But Bibbins Park, the Lake of Three Fires, the school system that is here have all played a great part. And of course, along with that, the Olympic swimming pool that has been recently built in Bedford have played a part in having Bedford chosen for this industrial development. But now you can look forward and look ahead and see Bibbins Park here. Okay, Dixie here again, just another view of Bibbins Park, the basketball courts. Of course, looking ahead now at the swimming pool. And believe me, this was really instrumental in getting the industrial development that will be taking place here in Taylor County. The fact that we have Bedford had such a car. We're in the halls now of Bedford High, dear old BHS. I guess it's BCHS now. Now, I know that you're just recovering now and home from the hospital from your gallbladder. And at the risk of having you jump up and down and do a raw cheer of 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1, all from Bedford, stand up and holler, I'm going to go ahead and take these film this shot anyway of the high school. The old bell that was on the old school, I guess, they brought down here. Now, I don't know what's going on. We're going to find out here in a few minutes. But I mean, the place is parked full of cars. Even the sheriff is here, and we've noticed license plates. They're here all the way from Missouri. We've seen several cars here from Missouri. Of course, we expect Taylor County, but we've seen Page, Adams, Montgomery, Union. Something big is going on. And we're going to go into the building here in a minute and see if we can't get some of the interior of the building to bring back old memories as you walk the halls of BHS. Looking at Old Highway 2, the yellow building there was Charlie Taylor's old oil station, DX oil station. Everybody used to go down there and buy their candy and their chewing gum. He was very close to the school. And again, just another longer shot of the building. Hasn't changed much. School bus here in the front. The old building has been torn down. Of course, you know the story that they found out that it had bats in its belfry. Well, we knew that 40 years ago, that not only was there bats in the belfry, there were bats in a good many of the classrooms. Some of them even had positions of teachers. But the old building's down, and it looks pretty doggone good. Okay, we're inside the building. You can hear the mayhem. But something's going on. We'll find out why. That little girl wanted to be on TV, so I told her to stand there and I would take a picture. The trophy case, as you remember, are the class of 1955. Now you can see my picture. It's right down there on the bottom. We're getting a terrible glare from the lights. That's the class picture of 1950. faced in. It's fairly dark in here. Shots are not. Again, this is a wrestling match. They're here from all over, looking down the hall to the south. Lunch serving line. The lunchroom is in. Stairways going up the steps. People walking by. This is a new gym. It's been built since we were in school 35 years ago. And again, the wrestling match almost now. This is just the back side of the building. You can see all the cars parked around. This is a wrestling tournament that they're having. New building. Right where the old school used to stand. Okay, we'll move on. You can see it's a thriving city, and everyone now has means. Here we are again. This is 1006 Jackson, where we first lived in Bedford. The house has been kind of remodeled. Down on the corner was Mrs. Snyder's house. Looking just down the street. I'm just going to pan around now. I'm sure you've been back. Nelson's house, over there where Bus Cook lived. Marion Doherty's house. While I was at the school, I ran across Max Doherty. Max is still the athletic director here in Bedford. He told me that Bob is coaching up in Dunlap, Iowa. Been there 17, 18 years. Jerry is in Augusta, Kansas. Is the either principal or superintendent, I forget which he said, of the school there in Augusta. Okay, we'll fade out now and we'll move on. See, here we are now at the corner of Main and King Street. I never did know the name of that street. Doggone it, it's King Street. But there's the old house, familiar. It's been painted some several years. New house has been built to the west of it. The house is 1101 Main, looking down up the hill at King Street. The fancy street now. You used to park over there in the mud, as I remember. We'll walk on up the hill and see if we can get another shot of the street west. We'll pan across. Again, familiar sights. Houses as we look to the west and across the street. Perhaps sometime when Bertie sees this, she'll recognize some of the area. Again, looking to the south. We noticed that the sign on one of the houses down there still said Larson. I don't know whether Larson still lived there or not. There's a church that was built, the old house that stood there. Looking on down the street toward town, the Baptist church. People just stop and stare. They wonder what's going on. They haven't seen this much excitement in Bedford, I guess, since the Civil War. Again, we'll move back around. We're looking into the sun. I have no idea how this will turn out. Okay, here we are now on the top of Main Street Hill. As you probably remember. And again, the sun's just almost right down in our eyes. Should probably have gotten up here sooner. How it is. Alright, we'll fade it out. And like I say, we're just directly, I'll put the black light on, see if I can pick up anything. But we're looking to the east, right down Main Street of town. Winds are blowing, so we'll move on before I get run over. Panoramic shots of the town. You can see the courthouse in the distance as we scan around. Of course, you know, we're in the cemetery, close to the gate, just looking over. Panoramic view of the city. And just imagine now in a few years when the 102 Riverway comes into being, the skyscrapers that will dot the city. But the old courthouse clock. Church steeples. Back in there is the school, if you can pick it out. We just look around. Boy, the wind is getting horrendous now. Feels like it's 10 below zero. So again, we'll pan out, zoom out. Again, standing at Court and Main. Looking down to Main Street. Traffic's horrendous here. Parking lot where Les Gailey used to have his grocery store. I don't know how well this is going to show up, but we'll out Taylor County Ford, a lot full of new and used. The old Emmert Chevrolet sign, I don't know whether it'll show up or not looking into the sun. Mustangs escort Taylor County Ford, so we've got a new 1988 cars have arrived. The Lake of Three Fires. No trip to Bedford would be complete without a trip to the Lake of Three Fires, one of the recreational areas now that figured into the industrial development, into the real reason that it was chosen for its port authority. And we'll go on down now, and just a view at the entrance, again looking into the sun. Another shot of the entrance. Sign directing you to the picnicking, camping, cabins, and the beach. Another sign welcoming you to the state parks. Looking down now into the old bathhouse. I'm sure Clifton remembers a lot that went on here. Looking into the sun again. I don't know how. Down into the area now, which you can drive to, and the boat launching areas. Swimming area fenced in. There's no lifeguard, no commissary. Bathhouse was in bad shape the last time I was here. We'll come on down and we'll look at it from the beach area. Again, now looking up into the parking lot. In the early 1950s, on Saturdays and Sundays, this area would be parked full of cars, completely full, even up to the end, almost out to the gate. People in here swimming, picnicking. Now it's all but deserted with the bigger lakes areas. But again, it figured into the recreational area for the 102 River development, and we wanted to keep that in mind. Standing directly in front of the bathhouse, looking out into the beach area. You can see how rough the water is to give you an idea of the wind blowing. I don't know whether we can pick this sign up on the lifeguard tower or not. The beach area. Of course, the buoys that they will put out in the summertime around the swimming area been taken out of the water and laid along the fence. This area is fenced in now, kind of keep you into the area. You can just imagine a hot July, August day, beach full of bikini-clad teeny boppers, Clifton. You used to goggle at them out here by the hours. Today they're out here in their skivvies and their goosebumps. Alright, we'll move on around and get another look here. View of the lake. Now on the beach area. Perhaps you can hear the water as it rolls up on the beach from the northwest wind that's blowing today. We're turning now directly into the sun, so we'll try. I wanted to show you the raft that's been pulled in. It'll be taken back out for the swimmers later on. The dam in the distance. I'm going to pan now completely around. The boat docks are in the area over there. There's our car. Betty's gotten tired, has gone back down, is sitting in the car. And again, seems like this doggone sun, every time I go somewhere, it catches up. But here's the concession area, the old beach house, the old bathhouse, the Lake of Three Fires. Deserted, kind of forlorn on a cold March day here in Taylor County. Now in front of the lifeguard station. It says no lifeguard, swim at your own risk. No pets, cans, bottles, fires, or picnicking on the beach. As I remember taking the Red Cross swimming lessons, which I never did very well at, they were always given right after school was out, before the lake really opened for the season. That was usually at Memorial Day was the opening. Seemed like it was always cold, windy time that they gave these lessons in the cabin area of the lake, pretty well to the north end. This isn't a very good view, and I'm not going to go out onto the trees. I'm just going to pan around here. One of the cabins. Again, I'm going to be walking here, so the film will probably be a little shaky. Again, I'm pointing into the sun. which of course is a no-no, but you see the cabins. Okay, again, just a view of the cabin area. I thought maybe I could get a excuse me, a better shot. Perhaps the sun would be a little more. Excuse me, I'm taking the coffee in here all of a sudden. I must have swallowed my tongue probably doing all this lying about the industrial development of Bedford and Taylor County and the 102 River Project. I'll probably lose my voice, maybe my eyesight, my hindsight, my foresight, everything else. Done in jest, something to get some hot air stirring on a cold March day in Taylor County. We'll probably close out here. We hope you've enjoyed this little foray, done in jest, a little humor, very little, you probably admit. But, I've enjoyed it, and I hope as you view it. As I finished up at the Lake of Three Fires, and I told you that I was through with our little tour, I had forgot about of course, the landmark of Bedford and Taylor County, and that's the Taylor House here north of Bedford at the golf course. In all honesty, my memory goes back in and out, fades in and out. It's not too good. My eyesight's failing. My hair's falling out. But in all honesty, I never remember ever being in the Taylor House. Never remember being at the country club. I know that's the local landmark, but some people didn't get a trip to the Lake of the Ozarks. I've never been invited to the Taylor House for any function or anything else. No one's ever offered to take me to lunch, buy my dinner, play around the golf. Anything of that nature. And so because of the traffic, and they all have to stop and buy, as I'm taking these pictures, I made this out. So it's 1 o'clock, March the 19th. We've been here for a couple of hours on our Gray Line sightseeing tour. And again, we'll have a goodbye as we tape this and get you a copy to California. We hope your gallbladder surgery has gone well, that this tape doesn't do anything to upset any of your digestive system, to cause you any physical problems of any kind that modern medicine in California cannot overcome. But you can see now that the golfers are getting ready. It is now, it's about 50 degrees here, I guess, but the wind's blowing horrendous. You can hear it, I'm sure, in the mic. And we're getting ready. We're going to stop at the junction up here, get us a sandwich, go through Maryville, and start on home then. So until later, we bid you adios, amigos, and all of that other kind of Alright, here's Bedford High School. We're looking now, it's about 6:30 at night. Looking directly into the sun, getting a reflection. Now we're swinging back around. Bedford High. We'll move on down the road and get some other shots of town. Maybe the sun will be down later on.
Enough light?
Yeah, there's
Are you
plenty.
taking one now?
Yeah.
You mean I'm already on?
You're already on TV.
Well, I'll wave and say hi, Dixie. Okay, it's been
All right.
a long time. I think, how much younger than you and Jerry was Dixie? As I recall,
Well,
she's going to be
no, she's the oldest in the family, really, Richard. She'll love that.
Is that right?
No, she's 7 years younger than I am.
Well, I was going to say she wasn't the oldest in the family. She was, she's 7 years younger than you and a year older. That's about what I remember. She was in elementary school.
Yeah.
About the time that we were in high school together. Okay, I remember that. I remember that very much.
I don't know.
As I recall, she was blonde.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I remember Dixie.
Still is. You'd know her if you saw her. She,
okay.
Unfortunately, she resembles her brother.
Oh, the better looking one, or Jerry?
No, the one with the curly hair.
Oh, the one with the curly hair, huh?
But I just wanted her to know I was in good company, that you're a college professor. And
well, hey, I don't know about that.
Of a Christian college.
Nebraska Christian College, that's right.
All right.
That's right.
Dean of college, so
Yeah,
so I'm in good hands here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I believe you'd be a TV preacher.
You think so?
Dixie Baker, Dixie Diane Baker,
Yeah.
Dixie, Ambition Secretary, High Spot Graduation Day. Advice to underclassmen, enjoy it, it's shorter than you think.
Hold up the front cover of that annual so we can see what it is you're reading out of.
That's the
1962, the torch.
And she was a senior then?
She was a senior then.
Yeah, that would be right.
62.
with Wayne Baldwin and Janet Beamer.
Yeah.
That's Janet DeMont now, isn't it? Isn't that Jan DeMont?
Is that Jan DeMont?
Is
I don't
Lanny
know.
DeMont marrying Jan Beamer? I'm not sure either.
Joyce Ernest. Some of these people I remember. Karen Davidson, Dick Dalton, John Gibson.
Dick Dalton was an Arn Ruin.
Bertie Fuller was in there. You know, Fuller's lived across the street from us there for years and years.
Fuller. Bertie Lee Fuller.
Bertie Lee Fuller.
Fuller.
Yeah.
The big house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there like apartments or something in there?
No, not when they lived there.
Kay and Jim Hanshaw.
Yeah, Henshaw's, yeah. I guess Jim's still here in town.
He is. He married that short dark hair. What's her
Can't
name?
help you.
Was she in the same class?
He was mayor for a long time.
No, that's
No, that was his dad.
Oh, that's his dad.
That was Cliff.
He's got that
He's got a
Yeah,
garage.
that's Cliff.
the garage. He's in with his dad down there on Main Street.
See, Doc was working for him when he passed away.
Is that right?
Yeah. Down where the old Cudahy feed store. 6 o'clock in the morning. We're looking down now at the old Highway 2, the 102 bridge. Just looking down into town. It has absolutely no meaning to this film other than the fact that you can see the town from the east. We're on the old 102 River Bridge, just east of town. We're looking upstream at the river, and you can see the effects of the drought by the water. Now, there is a little hole of water here under the bridge, but everything to the north is just about dried up. Bridge again, and we're looking to the south. And you can see how the river's just almost and virtually dried up except for a few holes. I don't remember it ever being that low, but perhaps it has been. VHS here on a July morning. I understand now that because of the increased kindergarten enrollment, they're going to add to the school. They're going to be building onto this new part here, back where the grade school was added after the old building was torn down. The house, Dixie, where the old Northcutt family was. Up the hill there, you can see the top of Bill Young's old house. Here we are, 6:58, standing on the bridge across the Des Moines River in Ottumwa, looking at the river, and you can see how low it actually is. Across the way is the marker that shows the flow of the river. The water is absolutely nowhere close to the marker. And then just panoramic view. Right down below this rock pile, I don't know whether it'll pick it up or not, but there is a little riffle there. That's the only riffle in the whole river, and it can't be more than 30-40 feet across the total width of the river. But we'll walk on and pan down again in just a minute. Panning now over to the marker on the walled area of the river where it shows the flow. All you can see is its reflection down in the other water. As we pan around, you can see how low the river really is. There's a viaduct going across. In the background is the Coliseum. There's the high school in the distance. This is a dreary morning here. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning. It has rained here about between 4 and 5. They've had a thunder shower this morning. Very sticky, very overcast. It's going to be a hot, humid day. Going around now. There's the little generator station. Part of the dam area. We'll go over there and film that a little bit. There is some water because they have the floodgates closed there on the dam, which used to provide hydroelectricity and also water for the city of Ottumwa. This river, across the bridge on the river, looking upstream now instead of downstream. At the dam, you can see all of the floodgates are closed. Nothing at all, except on that very south gate, the second gate from the south. There's a little water coming through it. The sluice gate's there in the middle, just a little flow through it. The rest of them are closed, just to show you how low this river really is. Ottumwa Station. I'm not sure exactly when the station was built, but you can see the marking on it says Ottumwa and Museum, but this is the railroad station. There's a locomotive hidden behind the flagpole there that I'm going to go over and film. It was one of the fastest, biggest locomotives that the Burlington used to pull passenger trains with. The engine, it's engine number 3001. The engine was built in 1930 and was modified in 1940 with roller bearings. I'll read the plaque on it in a little bit. Because of its location and its size, it's going to be difficult for me to get a full length or a good view of the engine. But there is a memorial plaque on it, and I'll turn around and read it in just a minute. Engine 3001 on the engine, and it reads as follows. This locomotive was presented to the city of Ottumwa by the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad on the 100th anniversary of the arrival of the first train into Ottumwa over the track of the Burlington and Missouri Railroad, later to become part of the Burlington system. It was built by the Baldwin Locomotive Company in 1930, and 10 years later equipped with roller bearings on all axles and valve motion. It also received lightweight rods and reciprocating parts at that time, making it one of the most modern of steam locomotives. The total length of the locomotive and tender is 94 feet. It weighs 235 tons, and the tender carries 27 tons of coal and 15,000 gallons of water. This locomotive for years pulled the first-class passenger trains through Ottumwa, and its 3,000 horsepower enabled it to speed in excess of 100 miles per hour. Ottumwa thus displays this example of the ultimate in steam locomotion, the iron horse that brought the world into the community that opened our continent and from which itself was succeeded by the diesel engine. September 1859 to 1959. And that's the plaque that's here on this train, so on this locomotive. So it's set here on this location since it was donated to Ottumwa by the Burlington Railroad in 1959. View taken from the side rear showing the tender. You can read the inscription on it, 15,000 gallons of water. Engine number 3001, Burlington route. Underneath the engineer's cab is the 3001 CB&Q. Now, it's quite possible that my granddad could have been a conductor on a passenger train that ran through here, because he was killed in the train accident in 1933. This engine would have been in service at that time. I don't know that he ever conducted any of the trains, but it's possible that he could have been the conductor on the train that was pulled by this very locomotive. Closer, a view of the cab looking toward the front of the train. I don't know whether it's going to show up or not, but on the boiler toward the front, well, in fact, all along there it's getting pretty scaly. It looks like it needs some attention. There's a cab. I don't know what I can tell you about the engineer's cab here, except that we'll try and get a shot of it, whether you can pick up the controls or not. Everyone thinks that it would be just a maze of gauges and so on, and actually it was just a few levers that they used and just a few valve gauges to register the steam pressure and various things on them. They were very simple, and yet the engineer was the man of the hour. He was the one that was at the command of these trains, and he made it go. The little patio area here with the flower beds, the stone statue there in the middle is a sundial with a profile of Chief Wapello on it, and then of course in the back is a look at the Ottumwa Railroad Station. Now it's the Amtrak station and the Wapello County Museum. Looking north on the Mississippi River, Riverview Park and Hannibal. Barge going upstream. Down here, trees. Have another barge. He's backing up, he's in reverse. Huh? Probably had to get out of the way of that other one, don't you reckon? Because the one going upstream has the right of way. Pardon? There in the background in that clearing, you can see the new road that goes back up. How far out there is that, Betty? That's got to be 5 or 6 miles up there, doesn't it? Park in Hannibal, we're looking at the statue of Samuel Longhorn Clemens, alias Mark Twain, by the state of Missouri, dedicated in 1913. Here in Riverview Park, overlooking the Mississippi River. Here in Hannibal. This is the barge we saw. One was going upstream, the other down. This is the downstream barge here. The river's evidently so low that they've got 2 tows on it. We also have a tour bus coming in the background, you can probably hear. This is the railroad bridge, and on down the river is the Highway 36 bridge across the Mississippi River. Across where the grain bins are is on the Illinois side. There's a speedboat going up alongside of the barge there now.
Below the bridge is Lover's Leap that we'll be able to see from a distance on our train today. Lover's Leap does have a paved road going up to it and a panoramic view of the downtown part of the city. As you go into the cave, it's between here and the cave. Also beyond that is Jackson Island. And Jackson Island is where in the book, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer,
They call Lover's Leap. Looking upstream, of course, Mark Twain in his writings made notice of Lover's Leap. We're going to be looking into the sun, but that's a panoramic view of Hannibal. My hand, if you see anything in the shutter, is my hand as I cover the lens. Train down here at the bottom of the bluff. Nothing but coal cars going northbound. Mississippi River, Hannibal, Missouri, from Lover's Leap. But this rock area here that you see in front of me is the actual Lover's Leap. I'll catch a side view of it. Looking due east now across into Illinois. And there's the barge we've been following downstream. He's made probably a couple of miles in the time that we've been here. To the rock outcropping, which was Lover's Leap. Of course, as you see, it's fenced off now. They're afraid somebody will jump out. At one time, the river may have ran under this ledge, but now it's moved out probably a half a mile across there, the railroad tracks to the river. They're all laughing. There's a pair of ladies' black panties down over the ledge there. Somebody was disgusted, I guess. Wasn't what she thought it was going to be. So of downtown Hannibal.
Oh my word.
Straight ahead there on the hill is the, maybe it'll come into focus here. Well, we're getting so out of focus today. But anyway, straight ahead there on the hill to the left of the elevator is the old lighthouse. And up to the top of that was Riverview Park, where we've taken the earlier shots from. Mark Twain's Mississippi River. We're looking now, the entrance to the cave is actually there on the side of the hill, but we're looking now at the building, souvenir shack and everything, the sign that says, "Welcome to Mark Twain Cave, open today." We'll not go in and do anything today. It's getting late in the afternoon. We're going to eat supper on a Saturday evening, just about 7 o'clock. We're right in front of the house that Mark Twain made famous, where Aunt Polly lived and where he was raised, climbed out the windows and went on his escapade. The sign in front of the house says Tom Sawyer's Fence. Here stood the board fence which Tom Sawyer persuaded his gang to pay him for the privilege of whitewashing. Tom sat by and saw that it was well done. The brick building, or the stone building rather, is a Mark Twain museum, and the sign in front says Mark Twain Boyhood Home and Museum. This is just a shot of the street, some of the houses. The house up there is the haunted house. There's a gift shop. And here's Becky Thatcher's house. Sign here says Mark Twain's father's law office. Young Sam Clemens, Mark Twain, saw a dead man on the floor in here one night. Sam went out a window, taking the sash along with him. I didn't need the sash, he recalled, but it was handier to take it than it was to leave it, so I took it. I wasn't exactly scared, but I was considerably agitated, the sign reads. And on the top, J.M. Clemens, Justice of the Peace. And there's the pastor's house there. And look on down the street a block is the river. Hannibal, 1988. And this is the Aunt Polly's house that Mark Twain made famous, sitting by the museum. And if you go down this read these books, it comes alive. There's the garden, and we'll go over and get some shots from there. The Highway 36 bridge in the background. Corner of Main and Hill Street in Hannibal, looking into the gardens here at Aunt Polly's house. And there sits the house. Now on the other side, between the house and the other brick building, is the drain pipe. And that's where young Tom Sawyer climbed out the window and down the drain pipe and made his escapades here in Hannibal that you read about in his Adventures of Mark Twain and Huckleberry Finn. Just a few steps now, looking down Main Street up on Cardiff Hill, you see the lighthouse that was here at the time that Samuel Clemens was the river pilot on the Mississippi River. Just kind of another panoramic view, kind of looking into the sun. Aunt Polly's house, looking up Hill Street. We'll catch some more of this as we can. This has kind of been restored. Of course, it's quite a tourist attraction. Today, Saturday afternoon, it was about 100 degrees when we were here earlier, and it was just too hot. And so we have gone and had our evening meal. It's now about 7 o'clock. The wind is still terribly hot. But most of the people have already gone. It was quite busy as the tourists were here this afternoon. Main Street, and you can see that many of the buildings have been refaced. It says Grant's Drug Store. The sign, I don't know whether you can read it or not, under that balcony. But reminiscent of 150 years ago, when Mark Twain the boy was prowling the streets of Hannibal. On this sign on this building, I showed you earlier, that said Grant's Drug. But the inscription on this sign reads, House of the Pilasters, P-I-L-A-S-T-E-R-S. The Clemens family lived here for a time, and John Marshall Clemens, Mark Twain's father, died in this house in 1847. The building is Greek Revival in style, was made in Cincinnati, Ohio, and shipped here by steamboat in a knockdown condition. It was erected on this site prior to 1840. In 1845, little Sam Clemens saw a man shot down on Main Street around the corner, watched the man die on the floor of Grant's Drug Store located in this building. The incident was used many years later in the Adventures of Huck Finn. In front of Becky Thatcher's house, and we're getting a shadow again on it. It says Becky Thatcher's home. This was the home of Becky Thatcher, Tom Sawyer's first sweetheart, in Mark Twain's book Tom Sawyer. Tom thought Becky to be the essence of all that was charming in womanhood. Becky Thatcher's house, right across the street from Tom Sawyer's Aunt Polly's home. That's just a museum or a curio place now. There's the J.M. Clemens, Justice of the Peace, and the building, Hollister's house where the Grant Drug Store was, down on the corner. I'm looking right toward the river now, in front of Aunt Polly's house. The museum and the stone building Aunt Polly's house and the gardens. And I can remember as a boy some 40 years ago, coming from Iowa, going to St. Charles on vacation, stopping here after I had read the book of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, and imagining that I was Tom Sawyer living on this river and going through the adventures that he had. We'll come back at a later day and take the tour through Aunt Polly's house and see the window and the drain pipe that Tom Sawyer escaped or went down from when he was slipping out of the house at night. Hannibal, Missouri, July 16th, 1988.